Alright guys, Doc here, so I'm going to quickly do a little preseason preview because as you know, if you've played League of Legends recently, the preseason is out for good. So we have the new jungle changes, the new map is out with new buffs, new objectives, so I'm going to do a quick review of what's up basically. Is it good? What my opinion of is it good or is it bad? Whatever. So I'm going to do that pretty quickly since it's really late in the night and I don't want to bother anyone around me. So quickly, since I would like to do montage, but I don't do that sort of thing right yet, so I'm going to do that with a notepad. So quickly, what are the most interesting changes too? So we have stats. No, first off, the jungle is changing a lot. So I'm going to do that later. So I will actually talk about the jungler, the latest, because it's basically the most challenging thing. So after that we have objectives with buffs like Baron, Dragon. So I'm going to note that. So if you don't actually understand what I say, you can read and quickly get in your mind what I'm saying. Lastly, to stats. Uh, I would like to add lane, but that's not also stats. So quickly, let's start with this last point. So what's up with stats? So all stats have been raised by a substantial amount. So what does that change mainly? But basically, what you have to remember is that all stats have been increased a lot. So if I look at the patch note, I think it's like 168%, but the scale rate has been decreased, which basically mean for in-game that the early game champions will be stronger and they will increase, their strength will increase slowly, well, slower than before. Yeah, right. So yeah, that's it. So that's basically the important point. So it's math, so it's a bit complicated, and I'm not going to go really deep in that. But that's what you have to. Sorry, that's what you have to remember, that they did the math, and it's good. Like, so see, except attack speed, like that will be OP. But basically, see that's just weird. But that's a little weird. But that doesn't change much compared to before. Like, basically what you have to remember is that the base stats were increased, but the scale speed is lower than before. So in the late game, stats are pretty much the same than they used to. But in the early game, you will never see anyone starting the game with like 400 HP or something. Like all champions have been raised around 500 or so, even more. Like it's more common now to see champions with 60 base ADs, and before it was really rare and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much important. So that's what you have to remember. Also, mana region and HP region items have been changed from fixed to percent. That's really important. This means they scale with you. Since basically what you have to see is that, so yeah, all champions, like, see, the following mage have been their base mana regeneration changed to X and Y for the HP regeneration. So why is that? It's because basically the lowest item, like the cheapest item, gives 50% HP regen and I think 20% mana regen, and it's on your base. So that's what's important, is that no, let's say a regeneration build or whatever it's called, like I don't even know. I'm going to go into the items quickly to just see, like I don't even know what's the name, but the lowest HP regen item is now more cost efficient on Mundo than, let's say, on Raven, because he has more base HP regen, so just stronger. Yeah, the regeneration build, see, it's plus 15, and that's 25. That's right quick. That's really good. Like, I mean, that means that the item is better in the late game than in the early game, and that's good because like 5 HP per 5 seconds is like nothing in the late game. No, it's much better. Like these items are much stronger than they used to. So they have also, like, I'm going items, include items too. They have also added a few items or changed some recipes. Like this item is really cool. Like it's really cost efficient because you basically have to pay 20 gold for like a bit more HP on like the same regeneration, but it's in one item. Like you pay 20 gold for basically 20 HP, so that's really really strong. See, all the items have their cost a bit changed because they got a bit stronger. Like, see, that's just 20 gold more. That's like nothing. Like magic resist has been changed quite a bit since the null magic mantle has been increased by 100 gold, but basically the Negatron cloak disappeared. If you don't see this one, like removed, you see, so all items will be out of the null magic mantle, which now costs 500 and add 25 magic resistance. So that changes a lot of things in the magic resist items. Some of them got cheaper, some of them got like are not cost higher. Overall, I don't think that's. I have no clue why they did that, but that's probably to basically, I think they are working on making the items like divided into as many components as they can. So even if you have no gold, you can still buy something, aiming for a higher project. That's what they will do. So I wouldn't be surprised if sooner or later, like the pickaxe will build out of a long sword or something like that, or on the blade, the BF sword out of a pickaxe. That will be the future logical improvement. So now the Warden's Mail is built out of 2 close armor again, and that's because the chain vest now builds out of a close armor. So yeah, close armor plus 4th one. So that's a little weird, but you will get used to it pretty quickly. Another change is to stack items. So now they are just you start. They are more gold efficient than they used to when you start, since you have already 5 stacks, but you lose stacks faster. On this one, like it's attack speed instead of movement speed, but that's really negligible since no one plays with it. So yeah, some items have been removed, like Sword of the Divine. Like I don't know why. Executioner Calling, no one was playing with it. Atmas in Power, the same. That's an important. Yeah. So that's basically it on stats. That's the smallest thing they've done. Stats on items, like that. Who cares? So let's get into something a little more important. So basically, objectives have been changed all around, not only because of the jungle, but because of new objectives. Like new objective, like a real new objective. The crab in the river give vision on movement speed boost on an area. That's not the most important objective in the game, but that's still an objective that you could fight over. I don't know. It's just a crab that's walking down the river on each side, so you have 2. And if you attack him, it will flee away. But it will never fight. Like it just runs from you, and if you corner it, he will dash away, try avoiding you or stuff like that. But it will never fight you. It is pretty resilient. It has a lot of HP on defensive, so it's pretty tough on hard to kill. And once you kill it, it will just go underground and spawn a movement speed shrine or whatever it's called in front of the nearest big objective. Like if it's top side, it will go just in front of the Baron, and if it's downside, just in front of the Drake. When you are in the area, you see what happens in it from everywhere. It's like a ward, and if you walk into it, you will have a consequent movement speed boost for like 1 or 2 seconds. So that's not much, but that's still that. Yeah, that's basically it. Also, Dragon now gives a buff. So it doesn't give gold anymore, which means you can't just the dragon won't be like as much as a game breaker in the early game as before because it won't give anything substantial, which means that I'm repeating myself with this is mean, but basically what you got to get in your mind is that before dragon was an early game objective because later in the game like 200 gold for the team, like who fucking cares? And in the early game, it was really important because 200 gold in the early game can really make a difference, especially on the whole team. So yeah. Now Dragon gives a buff. A, the buff. So buff is a stacking buff. Gives various bonuses. Oops. So I'm going to rate it like that. So that's I'm going to explain it real quick. So that's basically attack boost. So it basically boosts your attack damage on AP by a percent. I think it's 8 or 6%. Oops. Then you have a sweet fuck you. Then you have I think it's a push boost where you get damage, bonus damage against next is the MS boost. I think it's 5%, so it's not incredible, but that's already something. Unless it's bonus damage against turrets. I'm pretty sure that's it. And so you have the buff is permanent. It stacks. So every time you kill a Drake, I'm going to check that out right now, so you can see on the right screen. No, that's going to be a little early. So yeah, basically the buff is stacking. So every time you get a dragon, you get, so that's the crab, right? See, it respawns around 3 minutes and it grants a vision and a speed boost for 50 seconds, 75 seconds. See, always run when attack. So that's the buff, the dragon. So they have all their name and everything. So basically, at one stack you have 8% total attack. On 2 stacks you have, it adds up. So it doesn't replace, it adds up. So when you have 2 stacks, you have 15% damage to minions and monsters on 8 total AD on AP bonus. I know it's total increase, and you add also, and you see the latest aspect like triples everything, and your attack still 150 true damage over 5 seconds. So a 30 DPS, 30 damage, 30 true damage DPS. And this one only lasts for 3 minutes, but you can get it back on the next dragon. So yeah, but dragon grants, let's start. Basically, dragon is as important, I believe, as baron, but it's an investment. You have to invest time to get multiple dragons because one dragon won't do. Let's say it this way, like it's not really worth it to sacrifice like 3 members of the team to get one dragon. You have to get multiple dragons to make the investment worth it. So basically, dragon is now important if you can have multiple times the buff. Like, what you have to absolutely avoid is enemy having the 5 stacks. Like that's basically it. The stack is good and it's useful and it can make a difference, especially if you have hybrid characters in your team like Akali that scales out of AD and AP. The first buff is really important for her, but it's not as meaningful as the 200 golds of the pre-patch version of the game. So yeah, that's basically it. But you each stacks gives the team gives the team a debuff. I'm going to write it down. Yeah, so that's important, that each time you kill the Drake, the next Drake will deal 20% more damage to you, and it will take 7% less damage from you on your team. Like, since every member of the team gives a buff, it can stack up. Like, if you have 5 dragons, you will take 20. Like, you never have 5 stacks, but if you have 4 stacks and you are going for your fifth Drake, you will take 80% damage increase from the Drake and deal like 28% less damage to the Drake. So that's pretty cool. It let teams that are behind have a little advantage fighting around the Drake, especially if they can give the aggro to the team that already has the buffs. So that's pretty cool. So dragon stats have been changed. Now dragons is really tough. Like, he starts the game with 6, I think it's 6k six HP, like 6000 HP, something like that. But it doesn't burn anymore, and it doesn't reduce your attack damage. Now the dragon, well, when he attacks, his fireball will explode and eat everything in a cone behind the main target. But what is weird is that they decided to make the attack hurt really hard, but it has a really low attack speed. Like, for example, yeah, the Drake starts with 1 hit every 3 seconds. So that's incredibly low attack speed, which means that you have some abuses that will probably get patched to in a way or another. Like, Pantheon can solo Drake at level 2. And why is that? Because his passive will be up every single time the dragon will attack, so he won't take damage of the Drake that should be killing him in 3 or 4 hits, because Drake hits really hard. But it attacks too slowly to actually matter against Pantheon. That's some abuses. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think Pantheon's passive is kinda stupid anyways, because it's useless against APs and it's broken against ADs. So, I mean, I'm not here to talk about Pantheon's balance, but that's the end I'm one abuse. So if you want to play Pantheon, you can solo Drake at level 2 by having your W. Because Drake attacks too slowly to actually be useful, to actually hit you. So yeah, if you were to take damage, you will probably die because it's really fucking hard. But no, you can just parry every single one. So yeah, that's it. So that's what I have to say against the buff in itself. What you have to understand is that now the Drake is a late game investment that will really shine in the late game. Like the Baron, but it has different objectives. It's a really offensive buff. Like, you can see there are no defensive stats at all. So if you have the 5 stacks, like, you will probably crush your opponent in team fights. Like, it will make the difference in a team fight when you have this 5 stack. On when you have 4, you will be pushing much quicker because you deal more damage to monster, more damage to turrets. You will move faster and hit harder. Basically, this is a really strong buff for, well, all around, but especially in aggressive position. It will be less useful to you if you are just getting pushed in. So it's basically, it's just the game. They have changed that game in order for you to be able to end game much more quickly than before. Like, when I talk to you about Baron buff, you will understand that you can see that they are focused the game on the preseason about how can we make sure the games will end. Like, no, choosing Drake over Baron can be an actually legitimate choice depending on what you are going to do next. So I'm going to talk about Baron buff. So now Baron is really strong. He has a lot of attack. I'm going to say pattern because I like this one. It's really hard, AoE and stuff. So it's doing Baron early is really dangerous. Like he can probably 1v5 you. He's really fucking strong if you don't share the aggro and dodge the shit he lands on the floor, and you don't have like junglers that can actually dish out massive DPS, like or same for like if you don't have like a Cartus, a Vayne or something that will just shred him, it will be extremely tough. It can really lead to surprises, and team fights around Baron can be very dangerous because he deals a lot more damage than before on AoE, so you have to be careful with that. About the buff, basically now it's not the same. So the IP and AD bonus are kept. So you still have the 40 at level 18, and it depends on your level. So I don't know what are exactly the scaling, but it's like I know that it's 40 at level 18, 40 AD on 40 IP. No more MP5 and HP5. So that's removed. Instead, you have better recall. So I will show you this one. Here we go. So the recall now, you see the channel time of recall is reduced by 4 seconds, which means 3-second recall. That's like in Dominion. That's insane. And if you recall, you heal 50% of your stats, and you have home guard. So that's insane. Like, for what it changes most is that you can't know, like, if in a very particular situation, like you see enemy team is going for Baron, and you are not sure you will win the fight, and sometimes teams will choose to just base race and try to end the game before they can finish Baron and try to defend. So now that will be impossible because once they finish Baron, they will just recall extremely quickly and come kick your face off. So yeah, that's basically like nerf for base race. I'm not sure if it's useful, but what I know is that no, like you have to defend Baron because you can't just capitalize on them doing Baron, because if they do it quickly enough, they will be there to defend because of thanks to this import recall. You have to be really careful of that. And the last thing is minion buff, a really fat minion buff. So I will not detail the stats on my spreadsheet, but you can see it there. So all minions like will have bonus movement speed, which is the average, 90% of the average of the close nearby champions. They can't be slowed anymore, and all non-super minions have 75% damage reduction versus area of effect, and they also have damage reduction on melee minions like 75%. It's insane. Like basically, now minions on Baron have a super defensive buff. Like they are nearly unkillable. Like they are super fucking strong. Like they hit a little stronger. Like they have a little more, like you see, attack range on but they are specialized. Like melee minions will become super tanks. Range minions will be a bit stronger, and cannon minions will just be siege units that will attack from super far. So yeah, that's really weird to see because the buff is only active when there is a nearby ally. So yeah, that's basically the buff gives you a pushing power like no other, because clearing minions becomes so freaking hard, especially the melee ones. And as you can see, the cannon minions have 600 added range, so they are basically super far in the enemy team, pushing down that turret for them. And they can add up, since in the late game, cannon minions will spawn with every wave, so they will add up. And if the enemy team is just standing there protecting it, it will be really hard to take it down, and just may end up taking the turret alone. Like, you never know. Minions with that buff are just incredibly strong and cannot be messed with. That's what you have to remember. That's what you have to remember, especially that's my I love him. So yeah, basically, the Drake buff is a really offensive buff, like it was in there, but it's really good for team fighting, especially once you have five. For just being a solo, just running around, killing stuff. If you want to take down the enemy base, Brahman will just be the thing for you. Like if you want to defend your base, that will be the thing for you because you will be recalling faster and your minions in your base will be just super fucking strong. And if you want to push, you can just take the buff and send people on all three lanes and minions will just do the job for you because they will be unkillable and stuff like that. So that's what I had to say. I'm going to push up a bit just for jungle because jungle will take maybe a lot of space. So I hope what I said was interesting or at least understandable. I would check that still recording. Alright, that's still recording. So yeah. The jungle. So what is changing in the jungle? So there is a new visual that the base, like the map change on every single creep has been redesigned. So now races are now birds, golems are more beetles, and wolfies have two heads. I don't know, man. So that's visual effect. You like it, you don't like it. Personally, I do like it a lot, but on the practical change, I'll start with the jungle itself. So the jungle itself had gotten a little harder, but that's not as significant as people think. But just that I'll explain that later. But the jungle difficulty has increased a bit, but not that much. Like creeps are a little more resilient. They have more HP. They hit a little harder, especially side creeps. So you have to take them down, but they also reward more gold and experience. So that basically that didn't change much from the older versions. That's basically the jungler is a little harder, but not that much. It's a little bit. Like I'm not even sure I want to call it a little bit because that may be exactly the same. Like no, it's definitively they hit harder. Especially the birds, they are now really strong because the little one also hit you quite hard. And since there are four, they will it adds up. So yeah, the jungler is harder and is now close to some champions. So I've never seen as many people as getting executed in this patch. Like someone trying Malphite jungle got executed. I saw Kha'Zix get executed. So yeah, so some junglers that were already a bit like Alawan again. We won't be played anymore. Like you probably won't see like Cassio jungle. Cartus can probably still jungle. I don't know. But some junglers are going to make their come out. Sustained jungler like Sion. Sion is really fucking strong in this game because he has this shield and this also this bump, so he can delay the damage and take barely any damage on buffs, and he can still do the classic road where other junglers have to start golems and like golem a buff, another camp, and then go back at level 2 to after do their sub buff. So yeah, I'll write that. Smiting a minion, a large creep, a monster, sorry, gives now a buff. Yeah, this new patch is all about buffs. So basically, you have bird, detect a ward. So when if you smite the bird and you walk around, if you are detected by a ward, you will be warned by a sound effect, and you will have an overkill ability, and you will be able to see it and destroy it. Golems, that's only if you smite it. Like if you kill it without smiting it, you won't get the buff. And if you smite it without killing it, you will still get the buff. So that's just, it allows you to be more sustained in the jungle. That's why some some junglers start golems because they do it, they smite it, and they can stun them on like take less damage on their buff, stuff like that. So the gromp, so that's the white, like the large phantom. Uh, um, you now give you a buff that makes that every time you damage an enemy, it will be poisoned. So yeah, it works with monsters and champions. So that's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, it's not a significant damage output, but that's still something, especially on large monsters. It can be the difference between a 1 HP Teemo and a dead Teemo. We all want dead Teemo. And Wolfies gives the Sentinel. Basically, that's a spirit. Wow. That come out of the wolf and just patrol into your jungle and spots enemy champions. So it's better used if you counter jungle the enemy, you smite the wolf, and the spirit will tell you if the enemy jungler or mid laner or anyone is coming your way. You will be able to see their displacement into the jungle, and that's pretty cool. So that's basically what you have to understand about the jungle. You have all these buffs, smiting, smite city has gone up to 60 seconds, so that's pretty significant nerf to smite, but you will see later why they did that. So that means that you have to choose what you are smiting. Basically, what you have to understand, what you have to remember from what I learned from Night Blue 3, I'm going to write it there. Yeah, he's a challenger jungler and he's really good at his job, and really he's pretty cool, like super chill guy, like telling you advices on learning you how to play the game. He has a spreadsheet like I do, really detailed on tier list and stuff that he's been making out. So if you really want in-depth thought about the jungle, like in a well-told English, check out his stream on his YouTube channel. So yeah, that's a pretty good nerf to smite. So you have to choose what you smite, and basically what you have to remember is that smite the bird. The golems. Basically, no, you should not smite gromps or golems more than once in the game, and that's if you start with it, because it's not really worth it. Yeah, that's just meh. Like the bonus is nice, but it's not as important as like clearing a ward. And this one, smite it only, so you can have vision on them. Also, I forgot the main buffs, which are important, I guess, but they are really insignificant. And of course, so that's pretty cool. Once you end your rotation with red, you can smite it to get most of your HP back, and if you start with it, you can save up a potion by smiting it. So that's pretty cool. So now the items, because that's what mostly changed. Like the monster and stuff are still the same, except that there is a crab now, but I talked about it earlier. So items in the jungle, so Rito say. And I'm like, not really. Yeah, actually they didn't change much of the items. Like, I'm going to show you like the items. They are like, oh, we changed everything, guys, new items. But basically, the only thing that's new is now you can give, you can just empower. You can empower your smite to give it new ability. So it can either like arrowing, slow on champions. Yes, you can smite champions. Bonus damage. Or like bonus on counter jungle. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to read it aloud. So you have the first one. Like I'm going to take is this one. Let's run just Trailblazer. So it's basically once you have your maturity. Like I'm going to talk quickly about that. and that's why people think the jungle has been like hyper hardened, but actually the jungle isn't much harder than it used to be. It's just that you have only 2 potions to start with instead of 5, so you just get pound like, or 4, I don't remember exactly, but I think yeah it was 4. Like it was not rare that I would use 2 potions on my rotations of buff in the last seasons. Now it's just you use your 2 potions, but you have none left once you did it, so yeah, not much. And once you have your machete, you want to upgrade it. Yeah, basically you have 4 items that each one of them gives you one of these buff on your smite, and you have to choose once you got your machete, you do some buffs and you just immediately back in order to get your items that will define your playstyle. Basically, what you have to remember is that these ones, you see the bonus, it gives more gold on less CD on smite, um, increase movement speed if you kill an enemy with your smite in the enemy jungle. So that's counter jungle stuff. So counter jungle is pretty strong in this new season, since the timer on buff has gone up. So I'm going to write it that. At least for normal comps. So I don't remember. Say small monster now gives more gold and more experience, but the fast one gives less gold and less experience. So yeah, as you can see, stuff like that. As they also gain stats, stuff like they are basically stronger. That's what you have to remember. And yeah, you see the small camp, they respawn every 1 minute, like 100 seconds instead of 50. That's a huge like delay. So yes, basically you have to gank if you want to keep, or to counter jungle if you want to keep your stuff busy. And as you can see, the small raptors, which are the birds, no, it's much harder and also gives more experience. That's pretty good. And yeah, the main buff has been buffed, which is cool. No, that I didn't know that. That's pretty fun. I didn't know, but that's pretty cool. I guess that's legitimate. Like I've seen so many people being, oh, that's why. That's pretty damn cool. Yeah. Okay, so basically, Hunter's Machete is no only jungle items. It doesn't have any stats at all. Like you don't buy it. Just you don't buy it if you are not going to jungle, basically, because the only thing it does for a while is give you jungle bonuses. So yeah, you have this one. This one is one of the best. I guess it depends on what you are playing, but if you play a champion that is good at its job, like can gank efficiently, and what it lacks is the ability to farm well, you should take this one. Because it reduces smite CD, and it also casts smite on AoE and stuns the monsters and give you mana and HP. So basically, on any jungle that you never had trouble ganking with, just take this one and you will be super fine to farm. So that's one of the best fucking, like I would rate it 1 out of 4 on this list of items. So that's basically the one you can take on any jungler. It will be strong. Like if you play Ramos, if you play Maokai, if you play Nautilus, like even Vi, or I don't know, Wukong, Kha'Zix, everything, just take this one. It's super strong. This one is really strong on auto attack EV champions like Master Yi, Warwick. Like it's in my opinion, it's pretty OP. I'll talk about it later. Or not, because I'll probably get ragey and I don't want to. Basically, what it means is that you can smite an enemy, you will mark them, so you will have vision on them for 6 seconds, and you will deal more damage. You will deal with every hit on them, a bonus true damage up to 69, and they will deal 20% less damage to you for 6 full seconds. So that's just insane. Smites become, like, if you have this item, Smites become one of the most powerful late game summoner spell, because that's no fucking CD. So you are Master Yi, you smite someone, so you have vision on them, so you can lose their track, and you jump on them and just hit them repeatedly, and you get, like, let's imagine you are Master Yi, you hit super fast, so in these 6 seconds you get like 10 attacks, you get 700 true damage to the face. So that's pretty insane. And they deal less damage to you, so that's crazy for every single auto attack champion in the game. Like, if you are like Nocturne, if you are fucking Warwick, because you can smite them and then ulti them, and you will get the proc 5 times on your fucking ultimate. So that's just insane. So yeah. But that's completely useless on other champions. Like, if you take that on Maokai, you are dumb. If you take that on Ramus, it's more or less the same. Or just champions that will never auto-attack enemies. And the next one is for champions that will just gank a lot and not farm that much. You can just cast Smite on enemies. It will slow them and deal a bit of true damage. Like, it's a really low amount of true damage, but it will slow them by 50% for 2 seconds. So that's pretty strong. Yeah. So this item is what I take as Scion, because I have problems like coming into range to land my E, press 6. So with this item you can just walk on the lane, smite them for the slow, that's just a long range slow, which is really useful if you have a jungler that can have trouble gankings. But if you don't, just take this one. So basically on most jungler you will either take the blue one or the purple one. That's to choose. Now you have 4 enchantments, but basically I'm not going to talk about, because that's basically the same as that. They say it's new, blah 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 blah, but basically I'm going to write basically items like previously you had like spirits, like lizard is now red enchantment. That's basically what it is. Golem is now green enchantment. You had the race blue enchantment, and you have now feral flare is now purple. That's basically it. Like, they say they change everything, but that's basically the same. Like, the blue gives AP, CDR. Yeah, that's exactly what the old spirit does, except you don't have the spirit passive that gives additional damage to monster with insane sustain. But basically the stats are the same. That's HP, tenacity, CDR, exactly the same as Golem Spirit. And the warrior one is like AD, that it has the armor pen that the old one didn't have, but it's because it's built out of brutalizer. But that's basically the same. And this one is like this fucking feral flare unnerf that starts with 40 fucking stacks and increase out of every stupid monster or champion kill. That's this item. I can tell you, like, I'm going to write so it's basically a razor ship. Total cost is only 250 gold. Like, that's not that much. It's like a feral flare. So you start the game, you have 40 magic damage on it. So that's already a lot of damage per hit. It's like wit and but buffed up. So that's pretty insane. You can add that red item that gives true damage on every hit. And if you can stack this item, like, this means that you can easily, like, you can reach insane amount of on hit damage per hit. If you farm a little bit, if you gank a little bit, like you will reach like 80 damage per hit on champions. That's just stupid because in the late game, so let's take it to the level 18. Let's take with 80 stacks. It's maybe a lot, it may be not. I don't know. I've already seen 80 stacks, so I guess it's not that much. So you basically just with your item, you have 80 magic damage plus 69 true damage. So that's basically that's ridiculous. Like on a Master Yi, you just destroy everyone already without these items. And now you give a Master Yi that already has an insane DPS this stupidity. So let's just take this way. That's it. That's the math. Like 1 week will now deal 750 damage just from smiting and ulting you if he has at level 18. And that's not counting all the other Blade of the Renegade Kings and ulti base damage he has. This item is bullshit, especially combined with the red smite. So that's just dumb. Look, they changed. What you have to remember mostly is that basically the item essence didn't change much. So they just transferred it from names to colors because I guess colors are just easier to understand. Oh yeah, there's this new elixirs too, but that's just pretty easy stuff. Like I won't even talk of it now. But basically, what you have to remember is that it's the same as before, but they even buffed the fucking split pressure train damage that will now destroy your turrets even faster. Yeah, woo woo. So yeah, basically, that's just stupid. What you have to remember is that this is stupid, guys. Like you can't just do stuff and undo stuff later. Like 1 year ago, they give us Feral Flare. They understand that's so OP because Warwick is destroying everyone, Master Yi is killing everyone, Udyr is killing everyone. 1 year later, what do? They give us the same item with even more starting stacks and another effect to improve on its effects. So I can't understand what they are doing. For me, that's just suicidal or something like that. They just keep running in a circle. That I can promise you that if an item is getting nerfed next patch, it's this one, like for sure. Like no doubt about it. This item is getting nerfed as soon as a nerf will occur. So before that, so yes, that's super, but especially Warwick. Warwick has become super OP now because of this combination of items. He can basically kill you just with his ultimate on a Q on the Blade of the Renegade King and stuff like that. So yeah, just ban the shit out of Warwick and of Yi because Yi just became even more strong than he was already. But basically, that what you have to understand is that it didn't change that much, except that now Smite has more usefulness out of the jungle. Drake has now become a really important objective for the late game, and you have to secure it if you can, without sacrificing too much gold advantage to get it, because it doesn't give gold anymore. So it's a later investment, but it's not for the actual moment. Having a Drake but giving them the game for it is not worth it. So yeah, that was Doc. I hope that will help you finding your way into the new patch, stuff like that. I'm going to say you good night because I'm going back.